topic of the day is Jim Lee. Absolute mad lad. Yes. The legend himself. I want to make a video about him because he is a man I've admired almost my whole life. I really started getting into Jim Lee when I was probably around 8 or 9 years old, somewhere around there. I was given the gateway drug, which was Hush, Batman Hush, alright? And his art blew my little boy mind into oblivion, alright? It just exploded. I was just like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Where can I get more? Just like the guy in the back of the van, like, hey man, can I get some more of that shit? And I was hooked from day one, alright? His stuff is just the most legendary art there ever was. Okay? I can't even describe to you how much of an impact he had on me. From the very young, ripe age of Little Philip, I would look up him on YouTube, and he had these drawing tutorials from Comic-Cons, and that was the day I knew what I wanted to do. Alright? That was when I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And, you know, I am forever grateful to him for that. He really means so much to me. He's just the most polite gentleman, and I have absolutely no complaints about this man. However, I have ran into him a few times. From Comic-Con to Comic-Con. He has rejected me a few times. But let's not talk about that. That doesn't matter. He's still a great guy, and we'll just push that aside for now. But he's absolutely a legend for good reason. Alright? You know, from his line work and just how powerful his gestures are, I just can't, you know, really even put into words how much he has impacted my life. I have spent really, you know, like a decade of my life admiring him. You know, like I would look up whatever I could find. There's this great documentary that he had made about his life, and I watched that loop like time after time again, and I would just like use that for inspiration. And you know, I in a way he was kind of like a mentor to me, even though I didn't know him. He really inspired not just me but a whole generation, I'm sure, of artists. And you know, he's definitely influenced many. And you know, I guess I just wanted to make this video because I just wanted to thank him, man, because you know, I wouldn't have really been as passionate about comic books as I am today if not for him. And yeah, I mean, he's just like amazing. You know, he's like the president of DC Comics, you know, and I really believe that if it wasn't for his leadership, you know, DC Comics could probably have taken a turn for the worse. And you know, I trust him to lead the company. I believe that he has the best interests at heart, especially because he is a creative. He was first a creative, then to be a businessman, to you know, be the captain of the ship of DC Comics, you know. Then, you know, he has my utmost respect, and I have nothing but great things to really say about him. I guess, like, you know, I have really spent so many years, you know, Googling images of his sketches and all sorts of different interior pages and stuff, all the different techniques and tools and materials. I just wanted to be him so badly. And he has really made me in many ways who I am today. So again, thank you very much. So I guess, like, I'll use this opportunity to kind of tell you guys, you know, comics is a lifelong passion for me. I really love stories and, you know, art, just like distilled down to its core. That's what comic books are. And in my opinion, you know, you can read some of the best stories out there that I am aware of, all in the pages of the comic books. And you can get a 10 out of 10 story that will be kind of adapted into a movie, and it'll be butchered and maybe not retain the essence of whatever they're adapting, and it'll be maybe like maybe a 7 or 8 out of 10, if not a 5 out of 10. You know what I mean? And comics is really like such a direct way to be expressive and communicate like what you love, and it's a beautiful way that's pretty price effective and creatively limitless to get out whatever you want into the world. And the fact that it's so cheap to make comic books, I think is just an amazing medium. And like companies like Marvel and DC, they really don't there's just no limits. They have this saying in comics like there is no budget, and I love it, because what that really means is your imagination is the limit, and that kind of stuff is so inspiring to me and so exciting. And it really just enables you to be like, hey, like there are no limits here, go crazy. And I love that. That is like that speaks to me on so many levels. So but really my introduction in a big way was Jim Lee. And like if it wasn't for discovering his videos on YouTube, I don't know if I would have ever found necessarily what I love to do, man. I mean, because those things, I probably was about 9 or 10, when I found those videos. And man, those things, I obsessed over those like nobody's business. It was just the most magical thing I could ever witness. Like the way he would just kind of effortlessly, create something out of nothing, and out of, turn a blank page into a beautiful picture of Batman or Wonder Woman or Joker or Superman or whatever. I have like playlists of his videos, like shout out to VZA, I think is the YouTube channel, that have all those. I love stuff like that. That was kind of, I guess now, back in the day, I'm only 23, but YouTube has changed quite a bit since then. And it's wild to kind of witness and look back on and be like, wow, yeah, like I guess YouTube isn't necessarily about like just creativity and passion. There's a lot more monetization, motivation behind everything, and there's a lot more like, Mr. Beast going like, ADHD, like, whoa, like the most like battery acid thing you'll ever witness, like, and I do miss the days that YouTube was a little bit more personal, a little bit more like, individual based, before all the corporations, came into the platform and mucked everything up. It's fun every now and then to kind of go down memory lane and think about what made you tick and what made you interested in the things you're interested in. I find that stuff very fascinating. If any of you guys don't know Jim Lee, let me know in the comments. I'd love to know, like, if you're familiar with his work. I know so many are, but there's always people that don't, know who they are. So that would be cool to find out. But he's just the most like generous guy out there. From his Twitch streams, like he's always like giving away his art at Comic-Con panels and things like that.
My panel today, guys. I really appreciate it. Give us away. So, does anyone have a packet of mustard?
And he's just like a very special person to me. And thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to level up that like button. Thank you for your time this time. Until next time. See ya. Excelsior.